Okay, so they're having you start with this equation right here, and the first thing they told you to do is solve for R2. Well, right now it's currently solved for I, because whatever's by itself on one side of the equal sign is what it is currently solved for. So if we want to solve for R2, that means get R2 alone on one side of the equal sign, doesn't matter which. So we're going to have to do some rearranging of this thing. We want to get this off the bottom here. So since V is being divided by R1 plus R2, we're going to actually get rid of it by doing the opposite. We're going to multiply by R1 plus R2. And we need to make sure we do the same thing over here on the other side. So we end up with I is times R1 plus R2 is equal to V right now. So we've solved it for V. That's not what we want yet, but it's the step in the right direction. And the reason that happened is up here when we multiply by R1 plus R2, multiplying of fractions, put it over 1, you get rid of things that were the same as long as if it's addition and subtraction, you have to get rid of the whole set. Since this set matched this set, we can reduce that. And so we were left with V on top and 1 on the bottom. So V over 1 is equal to just V. When we took this side and we had the R1 plus R2, I times that can be also written this way. Now, what we want to do is go ahead and distribute this. So it's going to be I times R1 plus I times R2 equals V. So I distributed that. My writing isn't so good, sorry. And then we're trying to isolate this R2 by itself. So we're going to subtract R1I from both sides, because right here it's a positive and we want to get rid of it. And we have to do the same thing on both sides. So now I have R2I is equal to V minus R1I. And then to get R2 alone, we have to divide by I here so that that'll cancel out. And we need to make sure we divide by I here. Now these i's cannot cancel out the way I wrote it. So right now what we have is R2 is equal to V minus R1I over I. And the reason we can't cancel this out is because this is a subtraction problem. And if we wanted to cancel this I out of here, we'd also have to have an I here. So another way to write it, so that we could reduce it if we wanted, would to write each thing over I. So like this, R1I over I. Then that would allow us to cancel this I out. So then it says R2 is equal to V over I minus R1. So that's part A. Now part B says, what if you know the values for a lot of these? They want you to solve for R2. They want you to put those values in there. So V would be 110, I would be 0.4, R1 would be 100, and then you would follow the order of operations to solve that.